In this PIERO U, we're deep diving the virtual run and time-lapse effect. The time-lapse and virtual run effects are great ways of analyzing a run, whether that's the lead up to a goal, the build up to an interception, or positioning of a catch. The time-lapse effect is a little more discreet and great for not interrupting the flow of your analysis. The virtual run allows us to focus on a player and gives the presenter time to deep dive the movement of the player. Both effects are operated in a similar way. Let's start with the time-lapse effect. I'm starting with a keyed and calibrated clip here. When using the time-lapse effect, we don't need to worry much about the pitch lines or the outside of the pitch, since we won't be moving any players. But we do need to think about interactions with other players. If the subject is running in clear space and isn't interacting with any other players, we can simply use the auto grab. Start by placing a marker at the start of your run. This will make life much easier later. Then hit the time-lapse effect. Now choose your auto grab sampling rate. This will dictate how often you'll get a still of your player. Next, press auto grab. Then click on the feet of your target player. Then hit play for as long as you want the effect to last. You can always crop it in the timeline after. Then go back to your starting frame. Now go on air and play back. And we're done. This should serve you well most of the time. If you're in the same situation, but you want to manually define which frames are grabbed, move through the video using the region button on the frames that you want. So, what about in less optimal environments? This player's run is pretty cool, but he gets close to other players, and we risk the player detection confusing the two. We have a couple of options. The grab area and lasso tool are great for this. When your player is in space, use grab an area to draw boxes around your player up to the point to where things get close. Then use the lasso tool to get precise. This can be used with the magnifier tool. These tools are also very useful if your target isn't a player, such as a ball or horse. You can delete a keyframe with backspace. To manually fine-tune the key on a grabbed frame, hit Edit, left-click to key out pixels, and right-click to key in pixels. When players overlap, I personally prefer to put in both players. However, if you prefer, you can always paint out the additional player. At the top of the parameter panel, there is some customization. We can enable trail fading so that the first grabbed frames fade as the new ones come in. We can define how many frames the trail is made up of by using the trail length slider. The Show Current Player button only shows one keyframe at a time. This is used with a pause to show a grab frame by grab frame recreation or replay after the action. Or a replay before the action. A pre-play? Now let's look at the virtual run effect. There are less options here, so this should be quick. Start by putting a marker down where you want the run to start. Then open an instance of the virtual run effect. Then auto-grab the player of interest. You could in theory grab an area or lasso for every frame by hand, but the use case for this is pretty niche. So, with auto-grab selected, play through the action. Then put a pause at your marker. Then drag the virtual run into the pause and crop it in the timeline so it fits within your pause. And voila, we're done. And that is the virtual run and time-lapse effect. Please do not hesitate to contact ROS support if you encounter any technical issues. Encountering a creative conundrum? Check out PIERO Communities. Feel free to ask our support team for an invite link if you don't have one already. All PIERO operators and users are welcome to PIERO Communities.